Hi, I'm Nick and this is the TbT channel. This is the third and final part of the Webley Vulcan, possibly plus other Webleys, tuning videos. And now we're going to put it all back together. This is the part I'm really dreading. It should go smoothly, but we are dealing with the trigger mechanism, which is not my favourite thing in the world. So where are we? Everything has been taken apart, everything has been degreased. I still have my punch going through the sear in the trigger mechanism in an attempt to stop it all from going ka-twang across the room, never to be found again. I have polished the rear section of my piston, the only part that needs polishing because that's a raised lump there, so that's the part that comes into contact with the inside of the compression tube. I have got a TbT maxi kit to fit inside of it, and that is it. I think we are ready. I've cleaned all the rust off my barrel at the end of the last video. I think we're ready to go. So what I am going to do is start with putting the piston back in. Now, if you've been paying attention recently, I've done a lot of videos and many rebuilding videos, many tuning videos, and trust me, of all those videos I've done, some of them have had many takes. And now I'm on to my second pot of bum side, and the first pot of bum side I started with a couple of months ago was already half used. So that's how little of this stuff you should be using. So here we go. I've got my piston and I have my bum slide high moly paste. Please feel free to use any other molybdenum disulfite, thank you Matty, paste or grease, but this is the one I'm going to use. Now I'm only using the stuff inside of the lid because the stuff that's stuck to the top is more than enough. I'm going to start off by working that into the rear of the piston, and then I'm going to take off the excess and work that into the front of the piston, because they're the only parts that are going to make contact. Get a little dibble more from there, just onto the front of the piston. Now we have the piston seal, which in this case is a hard plastic piston seal, and I'm rubbing in an upward motion like that, turning the whole thing grey all around the outside but not getting any on the face. Wipe that off of there, and now I'm going to ever so carefully put it inside of my compression tube without disturbing all the stuff which I do not want to disturb. Go on. I still haven't brought my reading glasses with me, and I still should have done that. Let's lift that up, pop him in. Look at that. Look at that. We're in. We're in. Let's get a pokey thing. We're in so far, then we've stopped. I don't want to force anything. I don't want anything to move. There we go. Now I have got it past the sear place. I'm just going to centralise him through the cocking slot there, and what I'm going to do is grease up my TbT kit. So a bit of bum slide on the shaft of the top hat before pushing it firmly into there. Take out the rear guide. A little bit of bum slide on the rear guide like that. As it turns round, that will spread evenly throughout. Oh, I forgot to put guide, flange guide. Ta-da! Like that, into there, like that. That is now put together. Now I'm going to grease my spring. If you've watched any of these before, you know the drill, but you might only have a Webley Vulcan. This might be the first one you've watched. Imagine that. First one. Welcome, by the way. What we do is we get our sachet of grease, which comes in your TbT kit, cut a corner off, and we put a small amount into the palm of one hand, like that. Then we get our spring and we draw it through the fist of the other hand. Just basically that amount of grease will do the entire spring. Scrape some onto the top like that. The top pat and the slip washer stick together with a little bit of grease like that. And then all of that would have worked well if it weren't for the fact that the slip washer went nah and fell over. So now push him down into there. He is done. I'm going to wash my hands. I shall be right back. My hands are clean. We're on the home straight. Now then, let's see. We have got the rear block to put onto there, making sure we put it the right way up, which is the flat towards the bottom of the gun. So I'm going to get my spring compressor, which again, as per episode 1, sash clamp, piece of wood, correct height, etc. We've got a bit more preload this time because the spring is a little bit bigger, and we've added a top. I'm breaking these teeth in for a horse. A top hat. We're adding a top hat, which is preload, and a slip washer, which is more preload, and the spring may have been longer. I didn't actually check that. Maybe I should, but there you go. We can't live in the past, can we? Put that into position and we wind it in. Now, I've seen some people just do half turn, half turn, half turn. I prefer to have it hanging off the edge of the bench so I can do complete turns to keep it one fluid and smooth thing. You're going to go in there. Why are you not going in there? Do I have to lift the sear? Do I have to lift the sear to get it past that? Favourite screwdriver, there it is. Maybe, just maybe, I was too soon in putting those back on just yet. Let's rewind. Then we can say bow selector. If you're following this step by step, I do apologise because you didn't want to do that. Again, this isn't a gun we do all the time. I'll probably get rid of this in edit. Probably. I'm not sure. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Maybe it'll be a mystery. Let's take these springs out again now. The actual trigger one, not such a problem, because the trigger can come out, and he's quite happy coming out. Ta-da. Thusly. It's this one. This is our problem. It is the one for the sear. So I'm taking the little spring clip off and getting my punch again, and I am once more replacing the pin with a punch. Pin and a punch. First of the month. Go on. What's wrong? You go through there. Go through. Go on. Like that. Now, maybe that will give us enough to use this, and the sear won't catch on the back and it will go in as I want it to go in. We can but hope. Take up the tension. Tension is mounting. Wind in the spring, keeping it all still. Although there's a lot of preload, because our springs aren't too harsh, it's not too difficult to control. It's not trying to escape constantly. That's better. Now, that has gone into place there. I'm going to get my pin, my main pin that goes through everything, and try and line that up perfectly, because until it's perfectly aligned, it's not going to want to drop through. Like that. That means I can now take off the spring compressor and everything is held in place as it should be. Well, that's good. Right. That is there, and that is lovely. So before I put the trigger back in fact, no, I'm going to replace my sear pin first. And still haven't got my glasses. Favourite screwdriver for a wiggle. Through he comes. Just going to give it a tap. I feel it wants a tap. It wants something. I don't like triggers. There we go. By pulling the sear out the top, I could push it backwards and forwards to get the correct angle of dangle for the pin to go all the way through. Now I get my little spring clip and I push him onto there. The sear is safe. Next I'm going to get the little spring which my little grub screw from the top holds. Put that grub screw in gently. Pop the spring in from the top, because what I didn't account for before was the spring wants to sit in that little, there's a little round detent on there for the spring to sit into. So I actually want to get that into place and then line the spring up with that part before lining up that hole. So now I've done that, that will make it easier for me to get that through. Moving the safety out the way first again. There we go. Get it just onto the safety. That part down there, spring into his holder. Got lights above me here to help with this, and they really would if I were wearing my glasses. There we go, look at that. But this is why people say, oh, you always like the Vivox. This is a lot more fiddly than simply putting two pins in to put a whole entire trigger group back together. Needlessly so, in my opinion. That is in place. Where is my other little spring clip? He is there. Put a spring clip back into position. There we go. The trigger is complete. Now that's safe. I'm just going to wind this grub screw in so it doesn't get damaged sticking out on its own like that. It's a learning curve for me, you see. It's very rare I take these apart because I don't like to. It's the absolute fact of the matter. So when I'm forced to, because someone wants me to make a kit or show them how it's done or something evil like that, it takes a little while. And now we're going to put the barrel back on. Okay, what I did there was clean up inside that hole here. I've cleaned up the little chisel detent, and now I'm going to put just a small amount of bum slide on him before rebuilding it, like that. Anywhere metal to metal contact is where you should be putting bum slide or whatever molybdenum product you are going to be using. Now line up the chisel detent correctly. And then a bit of bum slide on the edges of the breech block there, where it's going to be rubbing against the jaws. The jaws can be tightened in a vise if needed. So we line that hole up there, and then we get our clamp and we clamp up the chisel detent so it pulls it into the right position so we can get our pin through to there. If I get, that feels about right, it looks about right. So get our breech hinge pin, that sounds like a good combination. What's that doing it? Breech hinge pin. So he wants to go in the other way up better. He's a little bit stiff. He's supposed to be a little bit stiff, so we'll give him a small amount of tappage. And he's going through, still going through, and we are there. Release the tension off that. Chisel detent is in position, so we can lock the barrel. That's good. Now we just need to refit our cocking arm. Cocking arm. So again, the little eerie bits into the bum slide, just where it's going to be on the inside of there, to give it some protection because it is a metal to metal contact. Line the piston up properly centrally, and that will help. Piston just needs moving that way. Oh, involved it too much. If it isn't in the right place, the ears won't lock in because they go underneath the chassis but inside of the cocking stop. There we are. He's in place. So bring that forward to the right place on there. Push that through. Line it up. Take our little roll pin, give them a little rubber bum slide that's still on my fingers there. Which way round are you going to be happiest? That way round. Like that. Firm surface. Tap him all the way home. And that is it. Our rifle is reassembled. All that needs to be done is put it in the stock and check the power. If you need more power, I mean, these should run really about 10.5, 11 foot-pounds is sufficient for one of these. If you do it lower, it'll be smoother. If you have any questions while you're fitting one of these or before you fit one of these, give me a shout. I'll be happy to help you. Please like, subscribe, hit notifications. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.